Hi, welcome to Banishing the Fear of Being Selfish, which is the second part of what I think is going to be three of my series, It's Okay to Be Selfish. Um, Today I'm going to move you or help to move you from worrying about being selfish to taking action in self-care. And the analogy I use is that of the flight attendant. You know, the flight attendant, um, if you've been on a flight, you've seen it, you'll certainly see it in movies if you don't fly it. And that is that when the oxygen comes down, if there's a cabin pressure change or something happens, you're supposed to put the mask over your face and breathe before you put the mask over the child's face or the elderly person you're with or the person who needs more. Because if you are in a good place, if you are fully healthy and able, you can give far more. Anyway, that's how the analogy goes, and that's what self-care is all about. My name is Carrie, and I am your kitchen table shrink. I'm a licensed counselor, and the channel here is about giving people ideas, teaching skills for overcoming everyday emotional challenges, stuff that ordinary people have, in a creative, fun, maybe even lighthearted way, because I think humor is very, very curative. Anyway, I usually give you things I think can be used immediately, and sometimes I even give homework, which since I'm not actually there, over your shoulder, if you don't do, there's no penalty for. Anyway, let's get on to it. Okay, so if you haven't seen the first one, It's Okay to Be Selfish. And there will be a link down below to and somewhere on the screen next to me, I'll put a card so that you can click onto that and see where I first came from. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference which comes first or second, because we're going to review a little bit of what I said the first time. But I think it's really worth listening to a story that I tell on that first one. So I'll get to it at some point, if you would, please. When people worry about being selfish, it's mostly women, but men do it too. It's to my mind, if you're worried about being selfish, if you care enough about the people around you for being afraid of being selfish, then you aren't, because you're caring enough about the people around you. So here we go. So you're not being selfish, right? Um, and I talked, like I said, the story I told last time was the example of the mom who thought she was being selfless and ended up destroying her family and if she'd taken care of herself, her family would have been all right too. And then the third thing I pointed out last time was the antidote to selfishness or to being afraid of being selfish is to do self-care. It's helpful to you and it's helpful to others. If you can take care of you, if you are the best you can be, then you have all the strength of yourself, all of your own resources fully loaded, kind of like a full gas tank, right? And that's what you can use to help everyone around you, your children, your partner, your aging grand, your neighbors, your friends. All right. So we also, and last one, taught you a few quick and dirty ways to do some self-care um, on a daily basis, or just when it occurs to you. Oh yeah, I got the sticker on my fridge that says I'm supposed to do a self-care today. Hand over heart, and then breathe. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just a simple stop and breathe. A little gift to yourself. See how quickly that's chilled me down. And then there's another one of my favorites, which is to hum or sing. I do that all the time. I do that when I'm doing things around the house. I do it in the car. It's just a way to relax yourself, get you out of your thinking patterns, which are stressing you. And then there's a third one, which is just a move. Don't have to move a whole lot. Do wrist circles or finger flaps or this, or if you got one of those squeezy balls, even those are good. Um, just movement for 30 seconds. One of the things that I do sometimes is just that flailing your arms around in circles. I got something over here to my left, which is I'm looking weird. Um, yeah, those are simple, easy things. But really today we're going to talk a little bit more about, more fully about what kind of aspects there are to self-care. And we're going to talk about the first three. There's six of them. We'll talk about the first three. And we're going to talk about what self-care is from a really sweet, loving person. Her definition. The WHO's is good, the World Health Organization, but this one's really good from a website. Her name is Dominique, and the website is called selfloverainbow.com. Link below, promise. Her definition is beautiful. It says it's the actions you take to show love, but turn them toward yourself. When you read your story and cuddle up with your 3-year-old, do that for you. Okay, maybe not with a story, but hey, maybe take a glass of a cup of cocoa and a book, and just read for 20 minutes, half an hour before you go to bed at night. That's self-care, right? Give yourself a hug. When you're suffering, you don't say, "Oh, stop feeling bad for yourself." Well, maybe you do, you oughtn't. Don't stop feeling sorry for yourself. Say, "Oh yeah, that's hard. This is a hard thing you just went through. Relax, breathe. You'll be okay." That's giving yourself self-love. That's the stuff that's what you do for your kids, your husband, your girlfriend, your best bud, maybe even somebody on the bus, a little kid crying or something. Yeah, you do this for a lot of other people. Do it for you, because you matter. You deserve it. And you teach your kids how to take care of themselves and show them that they matter also. All right, these are the things we talked about last time. Now we're going to go on to the aspects. I'll name all 6 aspects. I'm going to talk about 3 aspects of self-love, self-care. What exactly are they? And I have a nice little circle, colorful circle PDF that I'll put down below. A link for that. Maybe you can stick it on your fridge or your dressing table or bathroom mirror so you can remember. Oh yeah, let me do a little one of these. Okay. And I'm going to bring here my little handy dandy whiteboard. If I can pull this a little closer, maybe we could all see it. There's emotional self-care, spiritual self-care, mental self-care, physical self-care, personal self-care. I'll talk about what that actually means, but not so obvious, and professional self-care, work-life balance. Okay. So we're going to talk about emotional, spiritual, mental today. You'll get the 3 Ps next time. So, like I said, the World Health Organization has a description and talks about how, maybe more globally, you can do self-care. They first say making healthy lifestyle choices, being physically active and eating healthily, eating healthy foods, even as best you can. Even if if you can't go to a health food store, if you can't buy organic because it's expensive, Lord knows it is, that's okay. But eat well, minimize the junk food and the um, save those for treats when you need a pick me up for that emotional self care. Avoiding unhealthy lifestyle habits. Of course, that's smoking and drinking and drugs, right? But there's also making responsible use of prescription and non-prescription medications, which means follow the instructions, do as they're meant to be done with your pills. If they say take them for a whole 10 days, even if you've already started feeling relief from whatever it's for, take them for just do what they say. Do what they say. Because it's like when when your hacksaw comes, it tells this is the best way to use a hacksaw, or this is the best way to use a table saw. The instructions. Use it the best way that they can help you with, and then you take care of you. Self-recognition of symptoms is a lot of people have a tendency to um, dismiss. Oh, I'm fine. You get a gut ache. Oh, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine in a couple hours. And you make it through the workday. Well, next day, no big surprise if you're ill. But so it's to notice, to acknowledge, and to take responsibility for just recognizing you've got a symptom. Um, don't deny physical symptoms or emotional symptoms because you think it means you're weak. It isn't. It means you're human and you are alert and have reactions to bad things happening to you. It's okay. If somebody kicks you and you don't say ow, that's not cool. I'm being weak if I say ow. I don't think so. It's just normal. It's just what happens. Self-monitoring in the same way. watch for improvements or things are getting worse. If the doctor gives you a med and you don't get any better, you don't just give it up. You say, I took this for the 4 days they said, and nothing seems to be happening. I'll make a follow-up visit, or I'll tell them about that. Just monitor this stuff. It doesn't have to always be physical, but even noticing yourself. I'm noticing that I'm isolating. You wouldn't say it that way. You'd say, gee, I haven't seen my friends in a long time, and I kind of haven't felt like it. That's what we shrink people call isolating. It happens in the winter a lot to people, and then that helps you get more depressed. Is that if you keep not going out and being with people, if you stay inside and you stay away from other people, eventually, I guess we're a very social species, biologically speaking. We thrive best with other people. We thrive best when we belong. So notice if you're deteriorating or if you're making improvements. Oh, having cleaned my house, I feel a lot better. And that's one of those psychologically true things too, is that if you live in a kind of disarray, if you live in a cluttered or messed place, it scrambles, it's harder on your brain to parse your universe, to navigate your world. When you're all nice, neat, and tidy, and that nice feeling you have, that's because everything is its place. You have the structure to be the best you can be. It's based on biological stuff. It's real history here. And self-management, managing those systems. You know, okay, if I'm alone and I don't have healthcare provider or nobody else to help me, okay, how can I best handle these symptoms? Not by ignoring them. That's not self-care. That's ignoring them. That's avoidance. That's going to get you into trouble also. But like I said, it's not all about physical health care. That's where World Health Organization, puts its stress. But as I've said, it's about everything. It's about emotional well-being, your mental well-being, all these other well-beings. So the other piece that nobody seems to say yet, except I think Dominique kind of does, self-care can be fun. When you take the kids out to go skiing, on a Saturday, during January. Wonderful. All of you are going, but it's self-care for you too. Self-care for all of you. You can walk, you can do a workout, take a nap, journal, play music, listen to music, sing, dance, read, baking cookies. Now me, baking cookies is work. It's like, oh God, here's a drudgery chore. But for some people I know, some of my women friends, oh, they love to bake because somehow it makes them feel all good and yummy inside. Okay, then that's self-care for you, not for me. Whatever it is for you. Do a hobby. I knit. I play my ukulele. You know, take a news vacation. I'll talk a bit more like that. Buy yourself a gift. I used to love to go, when I had a stressful day, I'd be driving home out of Burlington, just my center, Burlington, Vermont, and I would drive down out of the city, and I'd be passing TJ Maxx. And sometimes I tell you, my hands just did it on their own. They drove me right into the driveway because that's what works for me as a de-stressing, as a self-care hobby. And I don't spend much money. And sometimes I leave with nothing. Don't even fill up the bin. I'll go down 3 or 4 aisles. It's like there's nothing here today. I think I'll just leave. But I will have had the experience. That's what works for me. Figure out what works for you. What's self-soothing to you, what helps reduce the anxiety, gets you out of your own head, some people say. Okay. Anyway, and they don't, like I said, don't have to be done alone. Take the kids. Self-care is good for them too. It's important to model healthy behaviors to your kids. When you show them by doing it, not just telling them, oh, you've got to wear a helmet. Um, when you show them by doing it yourself, that counteracts that thing that most of us have. Well, sometimes I hear my clients say it, or my friends even. Oh, I know I should do whatever. Um, but then they give me an excuse why they don't do it. Because somebody told them they should. There's some kind of rule in their head, but they don't have the emotional attachment to it as being a yummy, fun, good thing to do for me, to take care of myself, you know, to be a good Carrie in my case. All right. I know I've been babbling on. So let's go to these first three. Emotional self-care. This is the most important thing that the shrinks teach you. I say, I want you to learn to say no instead of being a people pleaser. But setting boundaries. No, this is carry time. I don't want any clients to call on weekends. That's setting a boundary. They never do. Um, that's emotional self-care for me. Ask your loved ones to help you fill a need. You know, my mom, when she came home from work, she worked in a hospital, so that was pretty intense. She would say, "Hey, before you ask me for anything, just give me 30 minutes." And she'd put on her sneakers and she'd go out into the yard and she'd deadhead her flowers in the garden, if it was spring or summer. And then she'd come in and she'd be ready. She'd have sort of regrouped in order to then be able to handle whatever, kid thing we were complaining or about or needing. Ask ask your family and friends for these things when you need them. If you need a hug, and call a friend. Say, I could really use a hug. I've had a really rough day. And because I bet you're willing to do that. You're willing to do that for them. They want to do it for you too. Spiritual. Spiritual self-care doesn't have to be a church or a temple or a mosque or whatever you go to. A lot of people feel a lot of connection with nature, that fulfills them spiritually. And there are studies that say that it's best to live in a place where out your window you can see trees and green stuff. And if you're fortunate, if you're living in a city and you're fortunate enough to have trees aligning your street, that's good stuff because that nature helps you spiritually. I don't know how, I don't know the science of it, but I know that it does. Spending time with your pets, with your kid, cuddling up with my little dog. I've got a little lap dog. It does enormous things for my being okay in the next 20 minutes. Walks in nature, listening to music, making music. These are good things to help your spirit. That ethereal you, I'm not quite sure what my spirit is, but I know when it needs something. And the third thing we're going to talk about today is mental self care. And that's kind of saying, don't think. Stop thinking, stop your thinking. And focus either on something that's not a thinking thing or it's thinking very differently. My son, when he was in a computer, he went to Champlain College, and he did one of their some computer courses. And what he did for his part-time job in college was he worked at a Jiffy Lube. He's kind of an intellectual kid. He's not a car guy. He's not a car guy at all. And yet he would go down, and that would be because that would pull a whole different part of his brain into play. And he wasn't responsible for a whole lot. He was the guy who checked people in and made sure if they had their receipts and uh, very simple, straightforward. It wasn't a skilled job at all. But it was really good because it was a counterbalance to his very mental work of being in college doing computing stuff. I suggest for adults, especially people like me, I like to know what's going on. I'm always, always, always watching and listening to the news. As soon as my day ends, I go right to, TV news. I give myself a news vacation because some days, sometimes you just need to stop thinking. You need to stop thinking and worrying about the universe and just do something calming, something that takes you out of that mindset and sets you free from the things that cause you stress and tension. Other things might be crafts or hobbies, things that that might need you to think, yeah. But doing a puzzle gets you so like I'm thinking jigsaw or crossword puzzle. You're so engaged and mentally really right there with the problem you're trying to solve that all your other worries just disappear. They go evaporate. They're just off in the world. Maybe go to a movie or a theater or a concert. Um, Even, if it's summertime, go to a music festival where you can get out, be with other people, not even necessarily your friends, but just being in the world and do things that don't involve thinking, at least not your everyday work thinking. All right, that's pretty much it for the first three. Next time, I will go into the other three, the physical, personal, and professional. These guys, these kinds of self care, and probably review the whole wrap up. If this has been at all helpful to you, please do the like, subscribe, the bing bang bong stuff that they have to do at the end. The thumbs up would be nice. I don't like these, but hey, I'll take them. I like comments. Please, please make comments. The feedback is helpful. Tell me if there's topics you want me to hit on to address, because I'm happy to. If you do want to do some homework about this, go ahead and commit yourself to self-care in each of those three, the emotional, spiritual, and mental self-cares. Do one this week in each of those categories. Do self-care in that category, or explore what might be the thing that works just really perfectly for you. Also, print out the little circular, colorful PDF that mentions all six of these, and print it, cut it out, put it on your well, you could put it on your computer screen, or you could cut it out and put it on your fridge, something like that, so you can be alerted or reminded. Oh yeah, let me do a little bit of self-care today. You can do the small thing, or you can do the big things like I've been talking about. I refer you especially to the selfloverainbow.com. She has a freebie book, self-care guidebook, right? First thing on her website, as you poke it, there'll be a pop-up that says, and it's a total freebie. But it also gives you all kinds of insight from a person who herself has been challenged by mental health challenges, and this is how this is her path. This is her path. Is through self-care. That's how she's been in recovery for some time now, and quite successfully from what I can tell. Again, the link for her stuff is below. Um, yep, okay, so let's review. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I want you, as I've said before, something like this, look after the most beloved of my online clients. Self-care, do that for you. All right, I think that's it. Bye-bye for now. And remember, the hardest part is giving yourself those things and being able to listen to your own needs. It's hard, not easy, but you deserve it. See you next time. Bye.